Today on Made for the Outdoors. It's sunny with a chance of rain. Liquid metal falls from the sky, and we do some heavy lifting in the very unique process of making Remington shot shell.
People are passionate about outdoor equipment. Get this, Americans spend more than $20 billion a year on gear. But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
Well, that's where we come in. Each week, we throw open the factory doors and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how your favorite gear is made.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Borderview Lodge.
There are numerous kinds of ammunition, but shot shell is a staple in the hunting and shooting worlds. It's one of Remington's leading products, and here in Lone Oak, Arkansas, they're making it just about 24 hours a day. So why don't we head inside and see how it's made for the outdoors?
Remington's facility here in Lone Oak, Arkansas. We're about a half hour outside of Little Rock. We've got over 1,200 acres, millions of square feet of manufacturing, and we're making millions and millions of rounds a year.
Millions and millions of rounds. But it all started with one man with a passion for guns.
Remington is one of those unique, storied American brands, and our heritage dates back to 1816. So we were founded in New York by a guy named Eli Remington, and he was a blacksmith. And his dad was a blacksmith, and his father was a blacksmith, and they made rifle barrels. The story goes, Eli made a barrel one day because he liked to shoot. And he took that barrel to like a local shooting match, and he walked away from that match with enough orders to start his company. And that company became Remington.
Over the past 2 centuries, the company has been no stranger to change. And in 2021, the brand reemerged with a new identity.
And so in the past, Remington's always been an arms and ammo company, and now we're focused exclusively on ammo, and we're doing a really good job of that. So here in Arkansas, Remington makes all of our ammunition. So we make rimfire, centerfire pistol, centerfire rifle, shot shell, and then all of our components, things like primers, component bullets, brass cases for hand loaders and reloaders.
Remington makes a wide range of ammunition, but today we're focused on one of their most highly produced products, the Gun Club shot shell.
You see gun clubs everywhere. So if you go to the range this Saturday and you're shooting trap or skeet or sporting clays, 5-stand, crazy quail, you're gonna see somebody shooting Remington gun clubs. They're ubiquitous, they're everywhere, and you're gonna know them by their like green Remington shell.
I'm a senior engineer in the research and development group.
It's John Langenfeld's job to get the shot shell from an idea into the consumer's bandoliers.
So what we primarily do is take ideas into prototype form and scale that up, if everything works, into mass production.
With the recent increase in demand for ammunition, mass production is indeed underway. We're headed into what they call the shot tower to start making our ammo.
The first step of making our shot shell is actually making the shot itself. Now it's gonna end up as these tiny little pellets, but it starts as these huge bars of lead.
It's the shot tower assistant's job to do the heavy lifting, literally.
Arthur!
Arthur Terry.
I'm Alexa.
Okay, Alexa, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. So we call these pigs.
These are pigs. They roughly weigh anywhere from 65 to 68 pounds.
Wow. All right. Yeah, they're heavy, which is why we're not doing it by hand.
That's why we're wearing this. It's right here to protect our feet, our toes.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were
No.
getting that on a dirt bike or something.
I'm part of the game. Try to grab 15 at a time. We can throw them with this right here.
Handling bars of lead, or pigs as they call them, is no easy task. Heavy metal isn't for everyone. Our pigs are headed up the tower, and when we get back, we need them at the top. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Borderview Lodge, Ice Castle Fish Houses, AQUARIUS Home Services, Car Arms, and by Keystone Light. Keystone Light, always smooth. Celebrate responsibly.
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. We're at the Remington Factory in Lone Oak, Arkansas, making Gun Club shot shell. Seeing how it's made is one thing, but how does it actually work?
So when you pull the trigger on a shotgun, you're going to release the firing pin, or a hammer's going to fall and hit the firing pin, which strikes the primer. When the primer cup gets hit by the firing pin, you're going to crack small granules of the primer mix, which is going to ignite the primer, which ignites the propellant, the powder, inside the shell. So that's going to start to build pressure, it's going to build gases, and that's going to expel the wad and the shot down the barrel.
A little chemistry, a little physics, and this next step will definitely make you feel like a mad scientist.
Yeah, the shot tower is one of the last pieces of equipment that's used in the industry for ammunition manufacturing, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the only one left at an ammunition manufacturer who still makes shot using the shot tower.
I'm not gonna lie, the shot tower is a little spooky.
We made it to the top of the shot tower. 13 stories all the way up here. All of that lead was raised up. It's melting in this big pot, and now it's literally raining to the ground to form the shot. Pretty cool.
The molten lead is poured through a special size grate before raining down 13 stories.
Wow. You see it pouring through there?
It's one of the most unique processes I've ever seen. As it falls through the shot tower, more science is at play.
So you have the surface tension of the shot and the chemistry of that particular lead with arsenic, the antimony content that turns the pellet round as it's falling through the air.
Who knew making a simple round pellet was so complex? A few floors down, the shot falls into chilled water before hitting a series of sorting tables. The cascading filters allow the pellets with proper size and shape to fall through and leave the flawed ones behind. See you at the bottom.
Once these pellets are filtered and sorted, they drop down into these huge bins, then fill these vats up, and then they're ready to be loaded.
While the lead shot waits to be loaded, another component is being made.
Don't just make the shot, they make the body as well. And this is the first step in that process. They're melting down virgin plastic and mixing it with a dye, melting it, sending it through a tube, and then cutting it to size.
We're going to make the shot shell bodies are made out of plastic. They're going to go through an extrusion process where you're going to take bead-formed plastic, run it through an extruder, melt it down, turn it into a tube form, cool it through a series of water baths, and then we're going to chop it off into what we call a slug.
Time to make some room for the lead shot.
Downstairs, we saw the plastic get molded into what they call a slug. It's this short, dense little piece of plastic. But up here, this turns into this compression molded unibody.
That slug will then go to the rotary cam operation where we compression form the shell. And that shell is unique to Remington. It's the last one in the industry that still has the integrated base wad, has the tapered sidewalls, and is arguably the most reloadable shell in the industry. Whenever we go through the rotary cam operation and you compression form the shell, and it actually takes the shape of a shotgun shell body, after that it has to go through a heat set operation, because that plastic has memory, and if it doesn't go through that heat set operation within 24, 36 hours, that shell will shrink back up into the form of a slug.
You can actually feel the heat coming off of this batch right here. Things are hot. Woo!
Cooked and set to shape, but there's still something about the body I just have to know.
Well, Remington has always been green, so they usually stay that way.
Fair enough. Next up is making the head.
As you can see, this plated steel enters the machine. It's cut into a disc, then formed into a cone, and stamped out as a finished head, ready for assembly.
The cap process starts out as strip material. It's a Nizen-plated steel strip that goes into a progressive die set where we blank it, we cup it, we put a head stamp on it, and we start to form the shape of the rim. From there, that cap is ready to go to assembly with the rest of the components to assemble the shell as we know it.
More shot shell action from Remington when we return on Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by SPIRE Credit Union, Moen's Mouse Mix, Polaris Industries, Warner's Dock, Game Fair.
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. Our shot shell components are ready for assembly, and their signature Remington stamp.
Once they go through AH&P, it's what we call assemble, head, and prime. It's where you're going to introduce the cap, the body, and the primer. And assemble that all together. That's going to go through a flame treatment process where it burns off any residual oils, anything that could be on that shell where the print wouldn't stick to it and adhere properly. So once it goes through the flame treatment, they're ready to go to the printing operation. And they're going to print the load line on there, what it is, 3 gram, ounce and an eighth, the velocity, the shot size, the product, gun club's going to be on there so the consumers can identify what shell it is.
With the specifications displayed on the outside, we're ready to load.
All of these massive holding tanks are holding a different size shot, all filtered and sorted and ready to be loaded. The loading process happens really fast, but here's what's going on. Our body with the cap and the primer is filled with gunpowder. Then in goes the wad, in goes the shot, and it's crimped off for a fully loaded shot shell.
A highly intricate process like this one comes with the need for quality control.
At the beginning of every operation, before a loader's turned on, a sample is pulled and it's sent to the ballistics department where they shoot it for velocity and pressure, and they also function test it in firearms to make sure that it operates correctly. Once that is acceptable and the velocity and pressure meet specifications, then that loader is approved to be turned on. And then they will also pull samples periodically throughout the run to make sure that nothing's drifting or shifting throughout the run and that the quality is acceptable.
To test for quality, I'm meeting Jimmy Lawrence over in the ballistics department.
Our shot shell is complete, but before we can ship it out, we've got to test it for some quality control. Ready? Fire. Ready? What are we looking at here?
You've got your outputs for the velocity. We hit 1146 against a 1200 spec.
All right, Jimmy, what are we looking at here?
Well, you finished your test here. Our spec is 1145 on velocity, and you ran right at an 1124 we're only 20 feet below the target velocity. That's perfect.
Okay, so
our pressure is safe. Everything's good to go, so this ammo's ready to go test for function.
all right, so it's ready to go.
Yep.
Excellent. We passed the test.
With the green light from Jimmy, our shot shells head for packaging. It sounds simple, but don't even think about sleeping on this job.
I'm like Lucille Ball over here. I'm running behind. All right, come on, baby. I mean, you guys are very efficient here. Done. We're taking this to the range.
We'll see you on the range when we get back on Made for the Outdoors.
Hey there, I'm Bill Shirk, the man about the woods.
And I'm Alexa Score.
If you're a fan of Made for the Outdoors and want to know more about the show, be sure to like us on Facebook.
And follow us on Instagram for cool behind-the-scenes looks at what we're working on.
And don't forget, if you've got a show idea, be sure to drop us a note.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Canvas Works, Warner's Dock, L&M Fleet Supply,
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. Here at the Remington Factory, we've put in the work taking our shot shells from raw materials to finished product. Now we get to go have a blast on the range. Just gotta get into a little rhythm here.
Started shooting last Tuesday.
Beginner's luck, huh? Whoa.
Whoa. Okay, so I'm not quite as accurate as the Remington guys.
Whoa.
Apparently having a range at work has its perks. Despite recent changes, the Remington brand continues to stick to its guns.
We're so proud. I mean, we make all of our ammunition here in America by our American workforce. And that's just rare. You don't see that these days, and every other day in the news you hear about a company moving their production overseas to a foreign country. Well, we've always made Remington ammunition here in America, and that's where we're going to continue to make it.
Made not only by Americans, but individuals who use the products.
I think that when you have a workforce that likes to shoot and likes to hunt, they go into work every day with an understanding of what they're doing and how that affects the trigger pull. And because they're passionate about the products that they're making, I think that shows up in our products.
I grew up hunting, shooting. I started loading my own shotgun shells when I was about 12 and shooting trap. So I hand load at home still for centerfire rifle, for shot shell. So what I do as a hobby, I've been able to make that as an extension of my career. So now I just have an entire ammunition factory to, you know, keep me satisfied. I get paid to do what I love.
I think the culture is very hopeful. So obviously, coming out of a transition and a bankruptcy, there's periods of uncertainty, and folks are looking around here saying, hey, you know, am I gonna have a job next week or next year? Well, the good news is that under our new ownership, Remington is back, the green's back, and we're better than ever. We're hiring hundreds of people, and we're really giving the culture, I think, hope for a better tomorrow and for a long run of business well into the future.